So now it is time for our panel discussion. So if you're a panelist, if you would like to come up here, please. Thank you so much. So we are very, very fortunate to have some industry professionals here. I'm just going to go very quickly through them at this moment, give a little bio so that you guys know who you're talking to. First and foremost, we have the legendary Craig Rice. Craig received a BS in biology from Monmouth College, and prior to arriving at Consumer Products Testing Company, Craig had technical positions at Dell Laboratories, Norwich Eden Pharmaceuticals, which is Procter & Gamble, and Roxane Laboratories. Craig began his career with Consumer Product Testing Company as the Vice President of Product Technology Analysis and Control Division, which was comprised of microbiology and analytical chemistry departments. In 1993, Craig became a corporate vice president, and in 1999, he became the president of Consumer Product Testing. Craig is active in many trade organizations and is a member of ICMAD, now called something.
It's IBA. That's it.
IBA now, board of directors, serving as treasurer and is the chairman of its technical and regulatory committee. Craig is also a member of the Society of Cosmetic Chemists and Personal Care Product Council, serving as on its scientific advisory committee. John Kaplan. John brings with him more than 20 years of marketing strategy and branding experience. He began his career as a musician and producer, performing on the world's most famous stages, including Carnegie Hall and Lincoln Center. While performing at evening shows during the day, John founded Messenger Productions, a boutique marketing agency providing personalized go-to-market strategy, consulting, and branding services to small to medium-sized businesses. His services and expertise was retained by IBG, a private label health category manufacturer, where he was responsible for the national go-to-market e-commerce strategy and launches of multiple home and health products for Amazon, Rite Aid, Walgreens, CVS, and Walmart. Today, John is the head of marketing at Nagase Specialty Materials, where he is responsible for leading North American marketing efforts at NSM's specialty chemical business units, including personal care, paints, coatings, adhesives, and UV technologies. Liz Streland. Liz is the current president of the Society of Cosmetic Chemists. She has been a member of the SCC for 25 years and has served in a variety of leadership roles at both the chapter and national levels, including for the past 8 years on the SCC National Board as area director, treasurer, vice president, and currently president. Since 2013, she has worked with over 1,000 middle school students to teach them the basics of skincare formulating and cosmetic science. Liz is presently a senior account manager at Nagase Specialty Materials, specializing in ingredients for the personal care industry. Fedora Zdrojowska-Hystroff is a beauty and wellness product developer with 10 years of experience in formulating and developing products that span a multitude of categories. She worked with both startups as well as well-established brands to help achieve their vision through well-designed, customer-loved products. She's the founder of The Collective. Correct? Did I say that right? Collective. Oh, I did not read that right. The Collective is a...
Spelled on purpose.
Okay, did not read that. The Collective is a cosmetic wellness and home fragrance product development firm comprised of foremost experts passionate about creating the next generation of products. They help clients turn their product ideas into reality by providing a curated sense of services that cater to their business needs. The network and partnerships allow access to industry-leading manufacturers, packaging suppliers, testing facilities, and designers, making the process time and cost efficient. The Collective takes care of the product creation so clients can focus on building and growing their business. Sean Brown. Entering his 15th year in the industry, Sean Brown is Gat Fassé's U.S. Senior Application Lab Manager for Personal Care, starting with the company in September of 2016. He oversees the North American Technical Center of Excellence, concentrating on formulation, modification, and development, laboratory training, and educational programs for customers and Gat Fassé personnel, on assisting customers' product development efforts. Before coming to Gatfase, Sean worked for Sepik, initially as a technical chemist, primarily in the personal care division, while supporting the pharmaceutical and human vaccine business units in developing formulations to support key chemistries and conducting laboratory workshop training. In his last 2 years with the company, Sean was business development manager for the Beauty Care Actives, where he was the key technical contact for 30 accounts. Joe Santee. Joe Santee's career of 46 years in the beauty industry has been multifaceted. His most incredible legacy is discovering the uses for Olaplex, Enlightener, and color, which changed the way hairdressers approach color services worldwide. Joe designed the Olaplex permanent wave procedure for high-lift compromised hair that allows stylists to perm hair that before Olaplex could have never been successfully done. He is the Emeritus Vice President of Success with Olaplex, but remains active by testing new products and keeping up on the hairdressing side of the industry. Joe has mentored and helped stylists worldwide increase their revenue through shows, articles, books, and videos, which has always been his passion. He has spoken on beauty in all 50 states, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Grand Cayman, Egypt, and Germany, and spent 3 years as an on-air guest with QVC. His business mission is to share with others quick ways to increase their business at the salon level through innovative services and products, integrate their work and personal lives, and continue to stay inspired. He is humbled and honored to have been asked to be on this panel today. So, I got everybody, right? So, first and foremost, we do have some questions that we're going to ask, but this is also supposed to be for you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand at any point and ask them. But at this point, we just want to go, what was your path into the beauty industry? And we could start with, let's start with Fedora over here.
Oh boy. This is the shortest path out of all of them. But, you know, it's been pivoting. If I have to explain it in one word, I started as an intern in a lab at a contract manufacturer, had the opportunity to join L'Oreal afterwards in a fragrance application lab. Then went to Avon. At Avon, again, I started in the lab as a cosmetic chemist, continued to work on that, personal care. Then I started getting involved into color cosmetics, and then eventually I started getting pulled into a division that was called Special Brands, I believe it was called, or Strategic Brands. And joining that group kind of pulled me into the world of product development, which is where I am today. I left Avon to go to graduate school. Once I decided that this is the industry I want to stay in. My undergrad is in biomedical engineering, so I had absolutely nothing to do with the industry when I first started. I just had some personal ties to it. And I went to graduate school to ISIPCA in France. I have a master's in formulation of cosmetics and fragrances, and also a master's in business and management. And then once I graduated, I started looking for jobs in product development, because ultimately through my 5 years up to that point, I've been on a journey to figure out where exactly I belong in the industry. And it's okay to start somewhere and then end somewhere else. And I think that's how the path goes. And maybe what I tried to do early on, and I think it's relevant to you guys, is I tried to mimic other people's paths. And then I realized that some of that worked, but some of it didn't work. I had to figure out exactly what I wanted to do and find a way, maybe a new way, forge a new way for me to do it that was right for me. Speak to the right people, find the right mentors, don't be afraid to ask for opportunities. And then, if you're told no, that's okay too. Maybe ask why not. Try to learn from that opportunity and see where it may lead you. But today I own my own product development company. And I'm looking for people like you to join it that really, love product development. That's what they want to do, want to learn more about it, and maybe make it a path a stop along their path on their career. So talk to me afterwards if anyone is interested.
Exactly. And I always say this question was asked earlier too, like rejection is actually redirection. And that's something really important to always keep in mind. So, Sean, do you want to go next?
Just on the path, basically.
Yeah, just on the path, your path into the
I was
future.
so immersed in her story.
Going.
I think probably the path of a lot of people falling into the cosmetic industry. So my bachelor's is in biology. I had my mind set and probably trying to do pharmaceutical or biotech. But then I had a job briefly in fragrance to give me an understanding of lab life outside of the normal in New Jersey. And then there was opportunity at Avon, like a lot of people, with Anthony Gonzalez, who was my manager there. It was the quickest interview I ever had. I thought I didn't get the temp job. He said, "Hey, you worked in lab base?" I was like, "Yeah." And he hung up. I'm like, "All right, I didn't get this temp job." And he called me back, or the temp agency called me back a few minutes later, say, "Hey, you start work on Monday." And for those that have never ever met Anthony, he's really kind of straightforward, cut and dry guy. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It was myself and another temp that started the same day, Suzanne, and we're across our benches, and they gave us this formula. It was in pounds, and most people don't even formulate in pounds at this point, right? So it's in pounds. Here's a mixer, here's a homogenizer, figure it out. And we kind of looked at each other across the bench, like, all right, what are we going to do? It was a trial run, but we made the batch. It was like maybe medium viscosity blue lotion, and they kept us on there. And as I started to learn more about the industry, because there was still science involved in it, but it was up pace, high energy. You're always working on different batches every day. It's not really like analytical where you're watching trials and waiting for weeks and weeks for something to come together. You get results immediately, and it really just kind of resonated with me. So once it clicked in my head during that temp job that I wanted to do this, I started talking to the chemist I was working for to ask them about more information, because this was the mid 2000s, so there wasn't a lot of information available online to just Google about cosmetic chemistry. But there were people there that had gone through the FDU master's program that had the beginning in cosmetic chemistry book. Say, hey, you should have this. Here's the resource. So they would pull me to the side and explain, this is why I, align this phase in this way. This is the function of these ingredients. And then I was just proactive in taking this information that they gave me, and trying to learn it in myself, my free time, so that I was actually understanding what I was batching versus just being a typical lab tech and just following the directions. And it worked out in that once the temp job ended, there were no positions available at Avon at that point. However, Anthony came from Tri-K Industries before that, and his manager was looking for a junior chemist. And the temp agency also had a job there, and it was a whole thing. It was going to be a junior chemist. They found out that Tri-K knew these people, so they bumped it to a chemist job. And I interviewed, and it worked out, with Anthony's connection for me to get that position, and it's kind of just taken off from there.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I don't know if you've been seeing, I've been kind of smiling because the running joke in the industry is if you ask our 5,000 members how they got into the industry, you'll get 5,000 different answers. And so we all have our different stories, but that's why I was sitting here smiling. So mine was a little bit different, like everybody else is different. I was going to be a veterinarian. That's what I was going to do. I was going to be a veterinarian. So I got to college, I majored in biology, and I was going to be a veterinarian. And then I discovered that there's a little issue with blood, and I hit the floor. And after about the fourth or fifth time, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be a veterinarian. What am I going to do? And which was crushing. So I after I graduated, I got a job in a lab. I was working in an immunology lab, and then but I got married, and we moved to the West Coast. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to look for a job in the lab. And so I found a job in the lab. Just happened to be a lab, Lonza. So some of you know Lonza. So just happened to fall into the industry, really. But once I got there, of course, I didn't know anything about the industry. So you're all a step ahead of where I was at this time in my career. I didn't know anything about this industry. I didn't know it existed, but I started working in the lab. I was, working on ingredients, and a gentleman, Eileen, you and I talked a little bit earlier, became my mentor, and it was just a natural thing. And so my progression through the company, starting in the lab and then going into the business side of it, was really because of a mentor-mentee relationship that we developed. And it's, and Eileen and I, like I said, we were talking earlier, and actually through he was the one who got me involved with SCC. I've been a member of SCC for 25 years now. SCC is an incredible organization. You will build a network like you just can't even imagine. It's a global network. You will make friends, and you will learn more about the industry. And I just can't say enough about it. But we talked earlier, Eileen and Mary talked about the mentor-mentee relationship. It really made a huge difference in my life and my career. So.
Perfect. Don, a musician, so.
Definitely, I started off in the music industry, education background in music, and then business management. It just so happened that while I was finishing up school, my dad got cancer, and then it was just one hospital in the country at Cedars-Sinai that did this special procedure. So it took time, about 4 months, to head out and be with him. I live in Chicago, and so I was there with him, and decided, I have the record label. I really want to supplement what I'm doing at nighttime, and in the recording studio and doing concerts and on performing. I'm here with my dad, so I started a marketing business and targeted small to medium-sized businesses that had no presence, that were just Yellow Pages based. And that company went on, and we had a whole range of clients, from restaurants to small boutique shops. Anything you see in a small downtown area, those would be our customers. Then I went to IBG. I was contracted to develop the e-commerce streams for many of the big box stores that we see today. Any of the vitamins that you see on the shelves probably came through IBG, all the private label ones. And what I would say, how I got into personal care is, just before I started doing the e-commerce job, I visited this small company after I was asked by a recruiter, you should check this company out called FitzChem. So I, sure, I'll always take a conversation. That's one thing I would definitely recommend. When there's always an opportunity just to have a conversation. So I went in and met several times with the leadership there, and they had a personal care division and paints and coatings, and I knew some things about chemistry, not too much, but I knew that I could bring that marketing piece. Because FitzChem started as a small more regional company, a small distributor, so I knew that I could relate to them and to their culture. But then I got a phone call a few months later, actually a few weeks later, after our last call with the CFO. Oh, sorry, we have to put everything on hold. Thank you very much. And that was it. And so I started the e-commerce position at IBG. But I was persistent. I knew that I wanted to be in the personal care space. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives and things that they utilize every single day. And here we are today at a great convention, all these different technologies. But going back to persistence, the company FitzChem was acquired by Nagase, a company based in Japan. And I kept in touch with the leadership, with the CFO, and all the people that I met along my initial interview journey. And in January of 2017, I got a phone call from the new VP of personal care at that point, Mark Miller. He said, "Do you mind coming in for a quick chat?" Sure. So all that persistence of connecting with the people that you saw on your interview journey, even if you get that no, it's not a rejection, it's a redirection, like you said. And yeah, 2 weeks later, I onboarded at FitzChem and been working together with sales and marketing and technical in all of our global labs. So I'm not that long into the personal care space, but I'm very happy to be here and bring marketing technologies to everyone here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Good morning, everybody. My PhD stands for something different up here, professional hairdresser. So I started with college to go for marketing, and after 2 years, back when I was a tender age, many, many years ago, they weren't accepting, unless you were an ingoing freshman, you had to wait till the next term. So I started beauty school because my great uncle helped develop the first commercial cold wave with A.F. Willett, and my father was a chief MRB engineer with Boeing. So I was watching my uncle, the hairdresser, making almost as much money as my father, but yet he was a womanizer, gambler, and always had bigger cars. So I went with him, which you'll understand. But seriously, I started in the beauty industry and I loved it. The marketing background, like you just spoke about, is great to apply to this industry because you guys are the future rock stars of this industry, by the way. Chemists to me were always the rock stars. When they talked about mentoring in the session before us, my personal mentor was Dr. Albert Shansky, and even before I was making $250 a week, I used to have to pay him $500 to just talk to him for 2 hours. I've been very blessed my whole life because I started with a gentleman by the name of Arnie Miller in 1976, who had a company called Ardell that went on to be Matrix, which L'Oreal acquired back in actually Bristol Myers Squibb acquired us in 95. L'Oreal acquired us in the year 2000. From there, I went on, and I was always known for writing good educational programs for companies. My specialty was coloring and permanent waving, as well as straightening, relaxing, etc. So I could go through 46 years. I don't want to spend that much time because Craig's foaming at the bit to talk. So let's take it up to 2013. I'm at the Cosmoprof show, which is in Las Vegas. If you're not familiar with it, that's where distributors and manufacturers come in from all over the world. And I get a phone call from a young lady by the name of Jane Morehouse, who I'd worked with at Matrix. She now owns her own PR firm. She said, "Are you still in Las Vegas?" I said, "I am. I'll be here until Wednesday." She said, "There's a gentleman there named Dean Crystal. He's got a chemical. He's not sure what exactly it does, but he says it's for a permanent wave." And I told him he can't talk to anybody about a permanent wave unless he talks to you. So we met outside of Mandalay Bay's ballroom, and we immediately liked each other, by the way. Dean was not a hairdresser. His family was in a beauty supply business for a lot of years. His mother was a hairdresser. And I have to tell you, as a side note, and I told Craig the story earlier, when I started coming to shows like this, I was probably in my 20s. And when I used to tell people I was a hairdresser, nobody would talk to me. So the next year I came back with a card that said, Joseph F. Santee III and Associates Consulting, and then I got whatever information I wanted. But I never, because you're all chemistry students, I never want you to discount the fact, and I'm going to get back to 2013 in a second, but I'm telling it to you for a reason, is that I was told I was crazy when I founded the uses for Olaplex. So never discount the source that's going to come to you. So after I left Dean, I signed the appropriate phone book size NDA, and within 4 days, I had the product, which we called the invention. It wasn't called Olaplex at the time. And first thing I did was I found a woman that would use shampoo and hair color in her hair, and I went to do a permanent wave on her. And using the invention, at the time, it came out the best it ever came out. Now, you got to remember, back in the day, we were doing 8 to 15 perms a day, and that was the backbone of the beauty industry, which I believe if the technology changes, which is going to be up to all of you, it probably could regain its stature as the backbone of the industry, because everybody needs some texture. They're all killing their hair with flat irons and everything else, and that was our success, by the way. Olaplex was immediate gratification. There's a lot of chemists out there that still think it's fairy dust. And the reason I'm telling you some of the negatives, but to show you a positive, is I've invited chemists to watch me work. You know how many chemists out of the plethora of ones I know have ever come to watch me work? 2. And the two that came, the ones I have the most respect for, because there's a lot of things that can, Einstein said it, and I know I'm going to blow it. Not everything that counts can be counted. And I wrote it down because I knew I was going to blow it sitting up here. And not everything that can be counted counts. Again, Craig and I go back, I don't even know how many years, when I first joined the Independent Cosmetic Manufacturers Association. I had to speak. I've spoken in front of 5,000 hairdressers, cutting models' heads. I've done a couple names you would know, but I was never so nervous as talking to 75 chemists at TRI in Princeton. Because, again, you guys are the rock stars, but what I really wish would happen is the rapport between hairdressers and chemists. If you're going to go into hair care, or the rapport between estheticians and chemists, you go in, because no matter what you guys come up with, Ray Kroc said it best. He goes, if you're a dog food manufacturer, you don't eat your own dog food to make sure it's good. You see which one the dog likes. And it's the same way with clients or guests. If you call them guests in the salon, you want to see what they like. So I only had 3 things to tell you. Please be a problem solver. Look for the nuance. This industry is all on nuance. When I first used the Olaplex, like I said, on the head, it was nice and sleazy shampoo and hair color, if anybody knows that one. First used it on the permanent wave, it did what it was supposed to. Olaplex was originally designed to be a permanent wave neutralizer replacement. 2 months into testing, I thought to myself, and thank God, Dr. Shansky and I are still friends. He's 96 years old now. I thought disulfide bonds are disulfide bonds. Let's see what this does in lightener and color. And it didn't take it. I'm truncating this, but eventually I saw that this was going to work great in lightener. When I called the original chemist, who I love to death, and he loves me because I made him quite rich, he said, I'll never discount where my information is coming from again. So if you take nothing else from me out this door, any of you, if you're students, I could watch Craig cut a head of hair, and I'm
That
gonna
wouldn't
learn.
be pretty.
Yeah, it wouldn't be pretty, but I would learn something either to do or not to do. Same way with you with marketing, which I love. My goal was always to go to Wharton School and have a degree in marketing. If I did that, I'd never be in the position I am in today. You all know I think we were sold. And we sold for the tender sum of $1.4 billion. So that's why I'm emeritus, because there were only 2 old guard guys left. I still test new product, but had to make way for all you younger people. So I want to wish you all the best of luck. And was that enough of my path?
Very much. Thank you.
Okay, my past's a little bit different. I'm SOB, I'm son of boss. Some people may think I am an SOB, I don't know. But I've been very, very, very fortunate. I came out of the pharmaceutical industry. That's kind of where I wanted to be. And my father, who owned a small laboratory, decided that nobody would work for them until they had some real world experience. So I went on to work for some pretty good companies, some pretty interesting people I met along the way. And just as I was really starting to succeed, he gives me a call and he says, how'd you like to work for me? You proved yourself. So I joined a company with 35 people to open a chemistry lab. I don't like being on the bench. Really never did. I mean, you'll find, you get a degree in biology with a minor in biochemistry. You think you'd like to work in a lab. So you do. Some people do like it. I just couldn't do it. So I was ready to make the move. So I took a cut in pay and we started a chemistry department. And that's how I got into this industry. My father came out of this industry. He was with Fabergé when probably one of the original indie brands. He was the director of biological sciences for Fabergé, way before it was bought by Elizabeth Arden, Unilever, and everyone else. But I got in because it was a chance to start something new. And I really enjoy what I do now. Over the years, I've moved into different areas. I think the most important thing I can give you guys is get involved. Get involved. You have multiple trade associations. You have multiple opportunities to get involved. You get involved, you meet people. You meet people enough, you get put on international committees, and you get to speak to people like yourselves, like I'm doing right now. You get to develop expertise in areas you never thought you'd want to. When I first joined this industry, I thought regulatory affairs was the most boring thing in the world. But I got to tell you, because I chair the Technical Regulatory Committee for IBA, I keep saying ICMAD, IBA, I'm involved to the point where I've had to meet with the FDA on a regular basis to try to put together a cosmetic framework. It's fascinating. You get to learn how our government works or doesn't work in this case. But if you get involved, I know it seems like, oh, I'm wasting all my free time. You'll meet some really great people, you'll make some really great friends, and you'll be able to further your career very, very quickly. I mean, I've been in the industry as long as anybody here. I've been in the industry since 1991. But I was really born into the industry, so I guess that's not really a fair comparison. So that's my story.
Are there any questions from anybody right away? Yes. We do have a microphone if you do need it, but we could also just talk loud.
Can you do me a favor? Take off your mask and
Yeah, I can
there you
hear
go.
you.
We can also get this microphone.
Yeah.
Do us all a favor.
At least I could read the lips a little.
My ears aren't as good anymore either.
I have a hearing aid in actually.
No, I don't. Not yet, anyway. That's coming.
Listening to all your stories, and I think they're all very fascinating. And each one of you definitely resonated a little bit with me, at least. But for me, my question is, for someone who, went to school saying, "I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a doctor," and then you get there and you're like, "I don't want to be a doctor," and then you're like, "Okay, well, you go and work in a lab," and you're like, I don't like working in a lab, but I find myself in the pharmaceutical industry more now on the business side, but my passion, something that I've been trying to do, is break into obviously the fragrance industry, the beauty industry, and I feel like I'm hitting a wall because of all of my experience is more so either in very like hardcore science, biochemistry, and then working in a lab doing microbiology, and then going into pharma. Like, how do you bridge that gap to where you can now cross over?
Anybody could answer.
Well, I think you have a lot of good attributes because the reality is that a lot of, I mean, you have salespeople that come up with a business background and they progress into sales, but there are a lot that are technical, and especially, I'm on the supplier side. A lot of our customers like someone that can speak the language in some way, shape, or form. So I think you have a lot of strong attributes. So don't. And you're in the lab currently at this point. So you.
No, I work in pharma, but I work on the business side. So I do business solutions now, which I actually really enjoy. But I would like to do it in a different industry, not so much pharma. I would like to do it more so fragrance industry. But that's something like, how do I bridge that gap, like going from pharma to now being able to work in the cosmetic industry?
Yeah, I think, so you have working experience, which is a great thing. So I think the thing now is being able to bridge in your resume, right? Talk about some of your accomplishments, because selling is selling, right? Ingredients, and industries are different, but being able to sell, have a personality, having that technical background, I think those things are definitely relatable to our industry. And you're doing that now. You're coming to the events, you're meeting people. Because that's one of the things I've noticed from people that are getting in the industry. It's just like, how do I meet the people? How do I get into the community? You're in the community now, so you're taking the right steps. You may not have broken through. Like, what was the quote that's going around right now? Rejection is redirection, right? So I think you're doing the right things. Maybe it's a matter of, positioning your resume in the right way to highlight those things that maybe could be translatable for the cosmetic industry. Because one thing, like, I know if I'm looking at resumes and hiring, just as an example, if you have one person saying, I've done all these particular trials on these things and I want to be a rocket scientist versus I've done these things and I've gone to these SEC seminars, then automatically if I'm, trying to target someone that wants to be in the industry, that's going to catch my eye more versus the things that aren't relevant, right? So, you're here, there's a chance to network here, maybe speak with people, obviously, that are in the industry, can take a look at your resume and say, you know what, maybe you don't need to highlight this, or this thing that you're doing here is interesting, push this up more in your resume, because sometimes it's about positioning from what you've done. There are people that, I've interviewed that have all this experience in cosmetics, but they don't mention anything that they've done until you ask them, say, oh yeah, I've made 20 emulsions. I've done this. Well, why don't you tell me that? Like, I had to search and find this in your resume. So sometimes it's a matter of speaking with people to help reposition things just to make you seem like a more attractive candidate. But you definitely have some attributes that sounds like that can be used in our industry for sure.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to? Anybody else?
Yeah, I was gonna, sorry. I was just gonna go ahead and try to echo what you're saying is build your brand. Go ahead and like you're here at the show this week. You're meeting a lot of people. Go and create content, unique content. I'm speaking now with my marketing hat on, but you yourself see if something you can identify in the fragrance industry, let's say, and just write about it. Build your LinkedIn profile. Utilize that content and share it. Find a mentor in the personal care industry, and again, go ahead and build your brand, whether it be a personal website, something that you could correlate the pharmaceutical and the fragrance. Try to find that medium there, and just create content.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I want to add something there. It sounds like you're looking for the exact same job in a different industry. That job is not always available. So when you're trying to go from one industry to another, understand that you might have to start at a different point. I think that focusing on getting your foot through the door, even if it's not the right position, it might be a little more important than getting to do exactly what you want to do today. Get your foot through the door, however it might be. Whether it's volunteering, it doesn't have to be a job, or a lower level job, or maybe a job in a different department, or just volunteer. I mean, biomedical engineer, there are plenty of cosmetic chemists that could have taken my internship, right? I asked, they wouldn't give me a summer internship, which was 3 months. I asked, can I work during the winter for a month? I don't want to get paid. It's fine. I don't just let me come and look at look at you work, and let me mix few things, and see where it goes. And then that internship actually led to a job in a different. So don't look for a specific job. Have what you ultimately want to achieve, and then see what other paths might lead you there. And the path is never clear. But get involved as much as you can. Take a pay cut or go work for free. Volunteer your free time to work on your goals. And I think you might have an easier way of meeting the right people, them seeing your passion, and maybe opening a door that might have been shut to you before. So don't look for the straight way in, job application. I want to apply, get an interview. I'll show them how great I am, and they'll hire me. It's not always straightforward. It's really never straightforward. So try, doing something different. And this is a great place to be right now. There's so many fragrance companies out there. Go ask for an internship. See if they have any events you can attend. Talk to them about anything, get their business cards, follow up with them. See if they'll give you 5 minutes of their time to talk about their career. So see if you can work around versus looking for a path that might be straight to what you want to achieve and where you want to be.
Thank you. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
So much.
I just mention one thing. So I'm going to put on my SCC hat right now, Erica. And, but I wanted to let you know that we did launch a career center. It's an online offering through the SCC. This career center is an opportunity for those who are looking for, that have opportunities available, whether they're internships or, actual employment opportunities. But it's also an opportunity, it provides a way of connecting for someone like you who is looking for a particular opportunity. So this what this program does, it's online. It actually connects the two. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. There's a way of putting your resume on there. There's resume assistance that's provided potentially as well, if you're interested in that. So one of the many great things about the SCC is we do have our online career center now that we just launched earlier this year. So just want to make sure you knew that.
Is there like a one pager where I can see to go?
Yeah, Erica could actually help you right there. Sounds good. Any other questions? Yes, why don't you come up to, yeah, just so we.
Okay. Yeah, y'all can hear? Okay. So I'm an esthetician. So is it Joe?
Yes.
Heavily related to what you were saying. And I feel like I'm talking to someone famous because I have used Olaplex for years. Anyways, I have been an esthetician for about 5 years, and I am I'm majoring in chemistry currently over in Texas. And I'm hitting this, really actually before coming here, I really had it like, that's going to be really helpful for me in this industry. So I'm going to stay being an esthetician. I'm going to stay doing this. And as I've been here, I came to the Future Chemist workshop yesterday and formulated a product for the first time. And I was like, oh my God, I need to be doing, I think I should actually be doing that, actually getting hands-on experience. And so I guess I actually have two questions, but first one, any recommendations for that transfer of switching into the industry? And again, being here, I've been like, oh, the hands-on experience is actually something that I need right now rather than later. So any tips on approaching that on a resume, or even just in general tips for transitioning like that?
I did a lot in the beginning where how I got in with Arnie is I did, trust me, they can hear me. I did a lot for Arnie where I offered to work for free as well as other people. I worked for Dean for 1.5 years with no salary. And then, he paid me for that 1.5 years, but I was working with 2 other companies at the time. So I didn't go back full time to February 16 when I changed the whole program. And probably the same thing for you. You would get in, by the way, I meant to say this in the beginning. If you guys are looking for jobs, if you put jobs at Olaplex in a search engine, you will see a plethora of jobs come up. But I would just approach, somebody said it on the other side of the panel, I don't know which one it was, where you offer to work for free, you meet people. When I come to these things, I look to meet certain people, and so I gave them business. I mean, TRI was a fluke, and now I would work for them for free just to be a grunt in the lab. So we've developed a nice relationship better, and I've taken a few companies, I've turned them on to TRI. So I think the same thing would hold for you. And skincare right now, I think skincare, it's exploded, but I still think there's more to come with skincare in the future. Men's skincare and makeup is just starting. It's been on the launch pad for a while, but the rocket's rumbling now, and I think it's probably within a 5-year period to take off.
I'd just like to build on something Joe said. You have a unique background, and to be in this industry doesn't mean you have to create product, doesn't mean you have to even work for a company that does produce product. There's a lot of service organizations that could use your talents. We regularly hire estheticians. We have 4 cosmetologists on staff who are doing hair and nail studies. And that evaluation, even though it may seem like it's nothing, this whole industry is based on claims. Make no mistake, you can make the most beautiful product, but if you don't tell people what it does in a way that they want to buy it, they're not going to buy it. So the claim support in hair care and in nail care typically goes through cosmetologists and estheticians. There's a whole another industry you can look at. There are medical devices with cosmetic endpoints. That's a huge industry. I mean, I made a fortune off of it, that's how I know, but it's a huge industry. And those evaluations are also done in large part by cosmetologists and estheticians. So you have a great background for entering this industry. Just don't tie yourself to a specific point in this industry, like I want to create product. because that's going to be a hard road for you.
And what was your second question?
was I've talked to a few different formulators about how, you know, they've talked about how they start off in their career and they really don't feel like good formulators until like years down the line. And so I guess my question is, any tips on when you are actually in the industry and you're just starting off, even if it's not necessarily in formulating, but reaching, I think for me, because it's like a second career, it's just a shift, right? So any tips on what to do when you approach that point of just not really feeling good or confident about the things that you're creating or, you know, what you're doing?
I mean, I could take this a little bit too, because I'm obviously a formulator as well. And the big thing with formulation is, and this was actually very, very difficult for me when I first started, is some of my products wouldn't end up on the shelves. They wouldn't end up on the, like, people wouldn't want to use them. Or kind of how it all works too is that, you know, you send samples to brands and then they come back with feedback based on your sample. And I kind of am a perfectionist a little bit, so I would get some feedback. I would like send a sample and I'd be like, oh my god, this is amazing, and then it would come back and they'd be like, we don't really like it, like, at all. And so that took a lot, and, you know, I just had, you know, I could say it again, rejection is redirection at that point, right? And what you learn too in terms of formulation is you learn from others, you know? And this is something that I think we don't talk about a lot when it comes to formulating, is you develop your own personal style of formulating. I have the ingredients that I love to use. I have the aesthetics that I know and that I develop and I innovate on. But at the same time, you're learning from everyone around you too. Because when I work in contract manufacturing and I mostly make sun care, but how I formulate is also based on what I've learned from all the chemists around me and how my company formulates as well. And so you take all that knowledge from others, from your company, from formulations that you already have on the market that are available for you. And there's so many different resources for formulations. You could literally go on a website called UL Prospector and pull up, oh, I wanted a formula for like a face moisturizer, and thousands of hits will come up because our suppliers, our ingredient suppliers, have worked really hard to also give you those starting points as well. So it seems overwhelming, it seems scary, but at the same time, it's just something that it becomes second nature to you. You just keep learning, you just keep trying, you research it, you don't research it, you try something, it doesn't work, you put something else in there. So it's really just kind of you just learn those skills over time.
Except that you're not going to be great at the beginning
Yeah.
of the process. It just, you know, and I mean, these guys can tell you probably better, but I'm sure that there are formulators out there that have literally made every product under the sun. And after 40 years of formulating, they get stumped.
Yeah.
So don't focus on how great you are. Just focus on how much you want to learn and take it from there. And don't. I reject her stuff. We work together. I
Yeah.
let her
Every day.
reject her product
No.
all the time. It has nothing to do with Marissa. It has to do with the fact that it's not right for what I'm trying to launch out there in the world. So don't take it personally.
Mm-mm.
You can't take anything personally. Just do better than you did yesterday. That's really all it takes.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello. So I am a sophomore at the University of Toledo, Dr. Baki. I am taking her class right now. You know, I'm completing my organic chemistry coursework. I'm taking Intro to Cosmetic Science. I'm getting myself involved by, you know, coming here. I'm part of the Cosmetic Chemist Society on campus. And what I've noticed is that a lot of, for internships at least, they're looking for people who are a little bit further in their education around junior completion status. So what would you recommend for someone like me who's a sophomore, who's like not quite there yet, but also isn't a complete beginner in like their education?
You know, shameless plug, but we love the University of Toledo program. The most recent person we hired is a junior chemist from the program, and we've had other interns in the past. You know, and did you say you're doing research with Dr. Baki also?
Not yet.
if you are able to get in the research program there, it would help you out. If you can't get an internship to be able to have that experience, because from my experience learning about that program, the work they do is adaptable with these companies in the industry, or you may be doing work for a company in the industry, and that will be something you'll be able to put on your resume to say, hey, I did this work. It's close to working experience before you get a chance to actually work with a company one-on-one. So, but you're doing a lot of really good things already. Their program, they're doing a great job. So, obviously keep your grades high. Make sure when the time comes, because we're interviewing people from the program, we're not just going to call your job references. I will call Dr. Baki like, hey, what do you think about this student? And she'll be honest with me, and the same with any program in the industry. So obviously keep your grades high. Take advantage of this experience, because the reality, now that I'm in the industry for 50 some odd years, I think back to maybe Toledo wasn't around, should I have gone to another school to maybe get a better experience? Should I have gone to a program that had engineering, where I at least have that kind of process adaptability? So it's really, it's a blessing to be able to be in that program and to get that hands-on experience. Because as you've seen here, there's only a handful of programs in the country that offer something that resembles cosmetic science. So don't stress. Like we all see it, like you're gonna be okay. Like we're all seeing you're gonna be fine. I'm sure you're stressed because it seems like you do well. You probably do well academically. You may be worrying about it, but just keep the course. Listen to your advisors. Prepare yourself when the opportunity does come to be able to intern with those programs, and you'll be fine.
Can I actually say something too? So I know I'm supposed to not be talking probably, but with that as well, the rushing thing is a big deal. And like, I have that personality. Extremely. I always think about the future, but I was told by a mentor of mine on my first internship, your career, your experience is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And that really stuck with me, because I realized, oh my God, I don't have to worry about this so intensely now, because you're going to, as everybody's been talking about here, their paths are different. They're doing things that they didn't think they were going to do when they were 19, 20, 30, 40 years old. So everything changes, and you just grow and you learn and you develop within that. So anybody else have anything?
Thank you.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Yes.
Like a brief question. I don't know if I missed it in the previous session, but like you keep speaking about mentors. I'm graduating from my school in the spring, so I'm just like really nervous, and I was wondering if there's any tips like for like, because I'm looking for internships right now, and it's just a little stressful like with like if I can go somewhere to find a mentor.
I mean, I could answer, but these guys are in the industry, more in the industry of the chemistry. How I did it is I used to read soap and cosmetics magazines. GCI was called before they changed their name.
It was drug and cosmetic industry.
That's it.
DCI.
Dr. Al used to do articles on it, so I got Al's name, looked him up, found his phone number in lab in Norwalk, Connecticut, called. We had to negotiate the price, like I already told you, and well, he was on retainer. You're laughing. He goes, I'm on retainer for $2,500 a month for 16 different companies. I went, I'm a poor hairdresser, man. How about $250 an hour? And that's what we negotiated. But that's how you do it. You read about somebody. I've done it with books where I got to meet the authors if I was doing a show in a particular area. So you got to do the legwork on that, and it's all out there for you. Like, you guys are all fortunate. You had the internet. Back when this guy and I were in our 20s, there was no internet. We started to put dimes in our pocket or 25 cents for a phone call. So anything is at your fingertips that you want to do to make a connection with some of these people that you want to get involved with.
Yes, so I mean, you're in a great place right now. Obviously, there are a lot of folks out there that you can talk to and make that connection, talk about where you are. Where are you going to school now? Where are you located?
Fashion Institute of Technology.
And that's here in New Jersey?
FIT in New York.
Oh, in New York. Okay. I'm sorry. I forgot where I was. I'm on West Coast time, okay? I'm still getting adjusted. But no, I mean, the other thing is the mentorship program. I know that the NYSCC has, that they have formalized, so you might want to talk to Eileen or Mary afterwards. But definitely make those connections here, I think is a great opportunity. So you're going to finish up in the spring?
Finishing my bachelor's in cosmetics and fragrance marketing.
Fantastic. So what ideally would you like if you could just say, this is what I want to do? What would you say right now?
I want to go into product development.
Product development.
See me after the conference.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And my work here is done. No, but you know, this is like I said, you are so far ahead of where I was when I was your age. Now I know I'm getting older because I'm doing that when I was your age comment, but because I didn't know this industry even existed. So you're just so far ahead, and you're just in a great place, and we've got, you know, really great tools that are available for you. Your future is extremely bright, and I'm really, really glad to meet you.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi, everyone. So I'm a senior with the University of Toledo as well. I was very interested in that how you start your own business, so and entrepreneurship. So I guess my question is, how do you know when you're ready for it? How do you know what do you want to do?
You just do it. No, I'll expand more on that, but that's what it boils down to be honest. As I said before, I started as a formulator. Like some people in this building, they didn't love being on the bench. I love chemistry. I love going in there once in a while and making my own formula just when we're working on products to get it out of my system, but that's not where I wanted to be every single day. I worked as an in-house product developer for other brands for good 4.5 years before I started my company. And it was really an opportunity. The business came out of COVID, really. I was pushed into uncertainty, and I actually had a really deep conversation with myself, and I was like, okay, you've been getting ready for a really long time. When are you actually going to be ready? And the answer was never. So you, to some extent, take a leap of faith, knowing that, yes, there's an opportunity you might fail, but there's so much to learn from starting new that even if it doesn't work out at the end, it's okay. You've had that experience, you've learned your lessons, you've learned so much about yourself because it's literally all uncertainty. You can never be ready. There is a pivotal moment where you're like, do I know enough to be able to sustain this by myself? Can I do this? And there is some threshold of knowledge, but I don't think there is ever a ready moment. It's just, okay, I've learned. There's plenty that I need to learn more, but I feel confident enough that if I start this today, I will learn whatever I need to moving forward, but I can handle it for right now. And I think that's where that balance is. Don't wait to be 100% ready. It's just never going to happen. Take a leap of faith. Count on the people around you. Get a cheerleader. Honestly, we talk about getting mentors, but get a cheerleader. Someone who will maybe has nothing to do with the industry. I don't care if it's your best friend, your mom, your dad, your cousin, I don't care who it is. Get someone that when you feel really down, you're like, oh my God, this is all gonna fall apart. You can call and they're gonna say, listen, it's gonna be fine. You're doing fine. They know nothing if you're doing fine or not, but they'll encourage you. And when they say it, if you say it a few times, you know what? You'll come down and believe it for a second. So there's no answer. You just have to do it. If you have an idea, do your research. That's the one thing I would say. Don't go jumping into something and be like, oh, well, it may work out and not. You will get lucky, probably. There's a lot has to do with luck, but you have to be prepared for luck. So when that opportunity comes your way, you're ready to grab it and seize the opportunity, seize the moment. So be prepared for luck and then cross your fingers. That's what I.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Is there any other parting advice from anyone on the panel?
My area of expertise.
Anything at all? Anything? Yes.
Anything at all. Of
Yeah.
course
Oh,
I'm gonna
goodness.
open my mouth.
Not for you,
Of course
actually.
I'm
No.
gonna open my mouth.
here for a long time.
Just keep them at your students now, no matter what status you attain in life. There was a saying that I loved, it's attributed to Anonymous, when you're green, you're growing, when you're ripe, you rot. You avoid burnout by just learning more, but delving deeper into a subject that's burning you out. So the more you expose it, the more you open it up, the more you're gonna quench that burnout. So thank you all, by the way. As a hairdresser on the board, I like this guy.
Just for those who are interested in being formulators, the one thing I was told off the bat, that if you could cook, you could formulate. It's a very similar concept, looking at a recipe. Because I learned how to formulate before I actually became like a decent cook, and that helped me become a decent cook. You know, so like reading, at least when you initially get in, reading a recipe, the order things go in, it's a very similar concept, because also the language of the science of the cosmetic industry is different than what you would learn in school, but you'll learn all that stuff. No one is an amazing formulator from day one. So don't come out when you first get on the bench. If you hopefully you get that opportunity, expect to make this product that sells 1 million units off the bat. There's ebbs and flows, and you learn, but you know it comes with time, because I've seen people come in who were high-level PhDs, but they have to learn how the materials flow and, you know, order of addition and things, and the science has to connect with the actual hands-on formulation. So don't be too hard on yourself. I mean, you'll never get out of being a perfectionist, because that's who you are, that's how you operate, but it comes with time and the effort to learn and desire to be great.
And just be open to anything. You may walk into this thing and this is what I want to do. You know, I wanted to work in a lab. And then my mentor kept saying, I'm going to put you into sales. I'm going to put you into sales. And I was thinking, I don't want to go into sales. And I thought it was going to be like, oh, I'm going to be a used car salesman. I know, and I'm going to end up being a used car salesman. So it just was never in my wildest dreams thinking about going into sales. But then one day he said, okay, here's the price book, go ahead. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And so that's what I've done the bulk of my career. I've been in sales. I never planned to be in sales, but just be open to the opportunities. Like I said, you've taken a step here, being here. You know, talk to some of the suppliers here. You know, I'm looking for an internship. Most of them are probably going to say, yeah, no, we don't have anything like that right now. But there are going to be a few that are going to say, yeah, you know what, we do have a program, and here's what you need to do. So, and of course, our Career Center, I talked about the SCC Career Center, but there are other companies that are going to have their own programs and advertise it their own way. So just be open, look, seek, listen, build your network. I mean, it's all, a lot of moving parts, and but it really is a wonderful place to be, and I know you're all going to do really well, really well.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you to all our panelists. We are so honored to have all of you here with us. And thank you to everyone for asking your questions and being with us through the morning. For the afternoon, we're going to take a quick lunch break. Roughly an hour and a half or so at 1:30. And then at 1:30, we're going to have our career and education fair portion of this. And kind of what Liz was talking about earlier, too, is that we are having companies that specifically are looking for interns, looking for entry-level positions, looking to network with you guys. And so they're all going to be here, and we're going to have schools as well. Just right outside there is where all of them are going to be stationed. And so that starts at 1:30. And our panelists will also be there from earlier today as well, and our speakers, so you could network with them a little bit more at that time as well. So thank you so much, and we'll see you back at 1:30.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.